Village Commissioner, Julianna Strout.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Got it right.
You got it right.
Okay, perfect. We're so glad that you were here.
Thank you.
When did you realize that you wanted to be a public servant?
Well, I grew up watching my grandfathers both be public servants, and it really inspired me. Even at a very young age, I was always volunteering, either singing at nursing homes or volunteering at animal shelters. So I felt as if that it was the natural inclination for me to be able to do this. I ran in Boston, actually, even before I moved to Miami for work. And when I had the opportunity, after living in North Bay Village for some time, and actually served on 2 boards to be able to really understand what were the current needs and wants of the residents and the city as a whole, I decided to run in 2018 and was able to win, and I'm here right now.
Okay, listen. So you sang in nursing homes, folks. This is the real deal here. Yeah, I thought it was only in movies. All right. So you sang in nursing homes, and what else was that?
I used to volunteer at the animal shelter a lot, and always want to take home a lot of the pets.
Goodness! Did you adopt a lot of the puppies, or?
My mom sometimes, gosh, I must have been like 9 or 10 years old, and you can call her to confirm it. I used to always want to be able to put the kittens in my backpack and take them home. I mean, I grew up, in an area where my father's family had a horse farm. So I was so used to having so many animals around me, and was just an avid animal lover, and wanted to always rescue them. So I took home quite a few kittens as a kid.
When you were singing in nursing homes, more or less, how old were you?
Well, actually, I was walking home when I was in junior high, and there was a sign on one of the nursing homes in East Long Meadow, and they were saying looking for entertainment to be able to entertain the seniors there. And I walked right in, and I said, "Hey, I'll do it for you." And I asked my father.
You walked in.
I just walked in, and I must have been like 11 or 12. And I asked my father. I said, I'd like you to do an investment with me. I had a lot of little businesses growing up, and I said, "Can you be able to buy me a little recorder with a mic? And it's going to be a business venture for you." Like pitching the whole thing to him, and went in there. And I figured, that they would like me so much that, maybe, they could be able to book me from here on out. And they loved me. And I made $100 in 45 minutes, doing a set at 12. So you were just like, wow, this is, something. And my grandmother was a performer on Broadway. So I think I kind of earned, from, learning from her and gained that sense of, having to be able to be a performer.
Isn't it amazing how when all the youngins that are out there and they're watching us all the time, how they get that they can assimilate that. And then at such a young age, you had that spirit that was there.
Yes.
And you had this role model, whether it was explicit or not, but there was a road that was there if you wanted to take it.
Of course. Well, being the eldest in my family, I have, over 20, first cousins. I really looked up to my grandmother and my grandfathers, and they really embodied this, mentality of, being able to give back to the community. And my grandmothers played a very essential role in helping my grandfathers. I mean, they were the key to being able to help them fundraise and have these dinner parties. The women did it.
We know. Happy Women's History Month, by the way.
And yes, there we go. So for me, it was like, I always looked up to them, like, I want to be just like them. And,
and you knew that.
I even at a young age, and my grandmother took a special interest in me, my grandmother Beverly, because she saw even at 6 years old that I could sing like Ethel Merman and Judy Garland. And she took me to have voice lessons.
At age 6, you were doing that.
Yes.
So there's not much time between birth and 6. I mean, it's only like, 1900 days. But it's like, holy moly. So when did you actually start singing? All right.
It was honestly just like Judy Garland that way. I was even singing before I could even talk. I would hum. So I felt as if that the stage was really something that I was meant to be on. And I would do performances, even, at 6 years old, full shows, with a production team. And even when it was coming to, doing talent shows, I always was willing to perform. So it was something that I enjoyed because you could take on this personality, even during like Shirley Bassey or Marilyn Monroe, and you'd have these little girl that could be able to belt out these, show tunes. And my grandmother was very particular because she wanted to make sure that not only, could you sing, but I want you to do it, professionally. And I want you to hit all those notes in the right tone. And so I was very fortunate to have her kind of rein that in and help me, get it right.
That is a great story. And we're going to get on to the city of North Bay Village in a few minutes. So there you are. You started singing in nursing homes.
Yes.
Going to the dog pound at a young age and doing all that. So you went to high school up in Boston area?
In the Berkshire. So in East Long Meadow. so in Western Massachusetts, and was very involved and just doing running for class president when I was younger, doing a lot of the different clubs.
Running for president.
Yes.
Oh, class president.
Class president. Okay. Yes. And also doing a lot of sports, the drama club, and being very involved in my family. I was busy raising a lot of my cousins.
When did you recognize that you had a special talent? What's your earliest recollection?
I think if you were to ask my mother, she would probably say that I was always putting others' needs before my own, even at a young age. And I think that was because I had so many other little kids in my family, in my immediate family, that I had to take care of. And also my mother being a single mom, she knew that I was very independent and I was very responsible at a young age. And I knew that I had to be. So I was fortunate that, she gave me those sense of responsibilities. I was able to, grow from that. And, I'm a good chef because of it, because I can, know how to take care of myself, and I know how to be able to handle my finances because of that at a very young age. And so for me overall, I look at all those things that I did at a young age, and that's really helped me become the woman that I am today.
Yes. So you also entered a couple of beauty pageants. Tell us about that.
Well, yes.
Sorry, guys, she's here.
Right. I was very much a tomboy growing up, and I still very much am. But I had somebody that came up to me when I competed at a talent show, and she said, "Have you ever considered?" I must have been 16. She thought I was a lot older, and I wasn't quite old enough to compete. And she said, "Have you ever considered, competed in Miss America or Miss Universe?" And I was like, I haven't, I didn't know about what that was or what I was going to be able to do. And she said, "Well, you can help, pay for your education if you did that." So, to have that opportunity and to not have to worry about, paying for my education was a great, I was like,
so
let's do it.
How many siblings did you have?
I just have one sister, but my family's quite large. My mom is one of 7. So I have, 20 some odd first cousins. So we all lived in the same neighborhood, basically. But I was able to compete. I was the only one that clapped for the winner. I did not win for my local city. And I had a coach come up to me and says, let's just, work on a couple things, and was able to go to Miss Rhode Island and win and go on to Miss America and win the talent award.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. And had all my education paid for because of that.
That's the way to do it. You can thank grandma. And
yes.
Mom, right? And
my dad always helped me, with everything too. I will tell you, how they had the dance moms? I had a pageant dad. So I was very fortunate that he helped me pick out everything that I needed. And he was so dedicated to helping me, with anything that I wanted.
And when you entered, that was Miss America, representing Rhode Island.
Yes.
All right. How old were you then?
I was 22 years old. So I was the tallest from the smallest.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. Next, let's talk about North Bay Village.
Yes.
All right. I'm reminded about North Bay Village. It used to be a little island in the 40s.
But think about it this way. They had a lot of the jazz clubs. You had Dean Martin, Judy Garland. So don't you think it's actually a good fit that I started off that way too?
How appropriate.
How appropriate. We're bringing it back.
So Broadcast Island, I think it's still there. WIOD was a station. That's Wonderful Isle of Dreams, folks. And then slowly the island was built.
So you had the Dredge Land, and you had our North Bay Island, Treasure Island, and Harbor Island. So the most beautiful views of Biscayne Bay.
Yes. And way back, Paul Vogel, when he was the mayor, I remember him fondly. And he was a chiropractor. I don't know if he practiced, but he was one of the great people out there. I see your city manager, Ralph Rosado, who used to work for City South.
And we have the Paul Vogel Park, as well because of that.
And greetings to Mr. Rosado for doing a great job. We watched him when he was here. I think he was getting his doctorate, and he really enjoyed being a professional. So my hat's off to you guys who appointed him or hired him, whatever that term is that's up there.
Yes.
So you've been serving since 2018.
Correct.
In this little tiny town. How many people live in North Bay Village?
Well, I don't want to be judged based upon our population, but we have about 10,000 people. But even though we're a small municipality, we got a lot of things accomplished even in a short period of time.
We're going to get to
this, we're like a power pack. So we have a lot that we've been able to do, even for just having a short period of time that we've been there. And it really kind of goes to the collected group that we are as a commission and the skills we bring to the table.
And when we look at the growth, especially the last 10 years since 2010, we can see how it's grown and how you guys, ladies, have kept up with what's going on. Let's talk about some of the protections that you are doing for Biscayne Bay.
Yes.
I see somebody just donated $150,000
Yes,
to the city.
We're so fortunate to be able to help us with our marine patrol.
Okay.
Because our boat needed, definitely some extensive
Do you
work.
happen to remember the gentleman's name? Not that he needs it or wants it, but we could give him a plug.
Oh, well, I mean, he's been doing a wonderful job, so I know that he's more discreet regarding that.
Okay.
But
Well,
yes, he's a businessman, so thank
Okay.
you very much for making that contribution.
So, and there was a boat that was removed from the water recently. Was that in North Bay Village?
Well, technically, those waters are not, even though they surround the islands,
Yes.
they're not considered, and they're not really within our jurisdiction. So a lot of people think that we need to be able to be the ones to kind of spearhead those initiatives. In prior years, the commission had not really taken that initiative to do so, but we worked with the county. We worked to be able to the Coast Guard to be able to get this accomplished, and we've been having to be able to take more than one boat.
Oh, so that boat was in the area, the one that got a lot of publicity.
Yes, but there's been quite a few that we've taken out.
Okay.
Because a lot of our residents, they want to be able to not have these, water, these boats in the water obstructing their beautiful views, and so we want to be able to make sure that their needs are being taken care of, and that was a request that they had, and we took the initiative to be able to make sure that they were removed, and they shouldn't be left there. It's actually causing more harm because you could have gasoline that could be leaking out. We want to be able to make sure that we're leading the charge on helping Biscayne Bay.
And I think a lot of people want to see all these little projects done that can be done immediately. We feel good from them. And because even if there was this great big project, but it took 4 years to do, what about everything in between? And there's an old saying, do you want to, if you were giving flowers to your wife, do you want to give this one big bouquet once a year or flowers every week? All right. Exactly. All right. Exactly. We want to be able to give and to receive with that. So we're reminded all the time about the good things. I see that the city is actively involved in parks and sports.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, and particularly for myself and the mayor, we even prior to being members of North Bay Village Commission, we were very involved in sports. So, Brent Latham, our mayor, was involved with working with CONCACAF, and I have a charity soccer match that benefits children with disabilities. So our mission is focusing on abilities, not disabilities. And we've been so fortunate that even in 2019, we're coming back in 2021, but in 2019, we were able to reach 96 million people. So we're able to combine the opportunity for children with disabilities and young adults to play with celebrities from all different major sports teams, movie stars, Sports Illustrated models, Maxim models, and they get to go on the beach, play soccer with them. I think it's also a great conversation point because you can see that these children are more than capable to be able to do so many things. And then also we do have a youth academy aspect to it where the children from North Dade and South Dade get to be able to compete in a youth soccer match. And then we have the pro soccer match. So it's a lot of fun. I only sing the national anthem, so that's more. I need to be able to handle the operations and make sure everyone's keeping their time and making sure that we're on schedule. But for me overall, I felt as if that it was wonderful because it's also a networking opportunity for the businesses in South Florida, as well as the parents that have children with disabilities. They can talk to each other. They can have an understanding as to what works for them. A lot of these smaller little organizations are in a silo, and they're not able to talk to each other all the time. And this event really provides that for them. So we have that, which is actually in Miami Beach. It's on 72nd and Collins. But we're actually working on being able to provide free after-school programs throughout the rest of the year. Especially for a lot of the children that, for the parents that may have lost their job, we want to be able to make sure that we're providing this opportunity for these parents to have their children get out of the house and engage in these activities. And then additionally, behind the school, we've been spearheading this initiative to be able to have a brand new park be built out behind our elementary school. So we're so excited. And the commission just actually approved these plans to be able to have them be moving forward.
Sometimes we're fortunate enough to be able to chat with a lot of leaders who are excited about the projects that they're working on. Certainly, you seem to be excited, and I'm sure that the commission as a body is excited about being able to do that.
Of course, and I look at I don't feel as if a lot of cities are able to have such an eclectic group on the dais as what we have. What I think really works for us is that we have individuals that have all unique backgrounds that really are able to come together. So we make sure that we have liaisons as the commission to be able to help provide services to execute the needs of our boards. So, for example, I serve as a liaison for the Resident Services Board. I also work very closely with community enhancement. We have, and those are my specialties, working with the residents, helping them, work on events, making sure that their needs within, the city are being met. We also have, the mayor working with planning and zoning. We also have our vice mayor who works on community enhancement and resiliency and sustainability. Rachel Streifel, one of our commissioners, she's also working on resiliency and sustainability initiatives. Those are their level of expertise, and they're able to bring that, back from those boards to the commission to move forward on all these initiatives. So they're, being able to be accomplished. And I feel as if that also is a tribute to our administration. You look at what we were able to accomplish just in the 2 years, and even within the first 100 days that we were in office, all the campaign promises that we made, during our time when we were running for office were completed. And I don't think a lot of commissions can be able to say that. And you knew what North Bay Village was like, prior to us being on board. So we really had our hands full.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yes.
And
full, overload on getting everything done. And look, we got appropriations from the state. We're able to make sure that our residents, had transparency regarding the administration, and we're more available. And we even worked on making sure that anything that we're going to be able to be doing, we want to make sure that we're available 24/7, and communication and media and looking at all the wonderful things that were happening. We want our residents to know all about this. And we're just, trying to be able to bring us into the 21st century.
So let's look. Sometimes it's the simplest things. When you walk down the street in any given city and you look at a sidewalk and you go, "Oh my goodness, it's terrible shape," and get to look inside the soul of the city.
Of course.
I know you're working on it, I think you just started a sidewalk project up there. Tell us about why that happened now, right?
Well, I think we have to be able to look at, our budget as well. I think we are able to make sure that we look at what the needs are from our residents. And also we have to consider the fact that we are islands. So we want to be able to make sure that we're taking into consideration all the efforts to make sure that we're taking care of the properties that are there for the long term. One thing that I will say that's different from us than maybe what other municipalities are is that the commission is extremely involved. We're not going to be somebody that will, call Public Works because we see trash here or we want to be able to do that. We will go ahead, roll our sleeves up and get it done. And that's what's something that I think is different. We can't rely upon an entire staff to be able to do everything that we need to be able to do. That's why we have to be so proactive. That's why we want to be able to make sure that if these are initiatives that need to be able to be accomplished, we will take it to the forefront and make sure that it's approved.
And the residents want that. When
Yes.
they know that somebody else cares, all right?
Of course.
That they go, "Wow, somebody's listening." Because isn't that what we want somebody to know what I'm thinking, so you tell them and to be able to do something.
Yes, who doesn't want to be able
about
to have clean streets? Who doesn't want to be able to have the walkability factor that North Bay Village really deserves?
Now, one of the things the city's doing is looking at what type of zoning is going to fit in correctly.
Of course.
And finding that balance. So tell us about that.
So we have the MBV 100 plan that we just moved forward on. We feel as if that, there's so many ways that we can diversify our tax base. And that's why we have a lot of these empty lots that have been on these beautiful, causeways with these, beautiful water views. And so we want to be able to encourage, the right type of development to be able to bring forward to our city. And on top of that, we're also looking at the resiliency factors, sustainability factors, because we want to be able to make sure that our residents are preparing for the long term, making sure that our seawalls are, protecting the residents there. And we're just taking these, different ways of how our code should be to be able to, again, bring us into the 21st century, to be able to be a more walkable city, to make sure that we're diversifying our tax base and really listening to what the residents want.
As you know, newly elected Miami-Dade County Mayor,
Yes.
Daniela Levine Cava, hired a new Bay officer. Have you met with her yet?
Yes, and actually, she was awarded the Woman of the Year for North Bay Village earlier.
Son of a gun. Why don't you tell us who that is?
Yeah, so I really wanted to be able to make sure that, we were honoring the women that make, what North Bay Village, is, and so wonderful. And we actually, in 2019, we started doing this thing where it's a Woman of the Year award in North Bay Village. So we select somebody who was a resident and somebody who has made a strong impact outside of North Bay Village. And so for us, we wanted to be able to give it to Aurelia because she's been working so hard on helping us with all these initiatives. She sees how passionate we are about making sure that Biscayne Bay, gets everything that they deserve. And especially when you look at, what we're passing in the commission. And she's so supportive of that. Also, Layla, who is a resident of ours in North Bay Village, who lives on Treasure Island, she is somebody that we really wanted to be able to honor because, anytime that somebody needs something, a resident is asking for support, she's always there 110% of the time.
So I met Aurelia Begay probably about 2 years ago
Yes.
in this sort of setting. Right?
Yes.
And we had a small group of people doing interviews, and she really pulled me along. She doesn't know that, but she pulled me along like this, right? So my congratulations
Thank
to her
you.
and to the city.
And we just met her. I remember meeting her in 2018, and she was part of my first Women's Initiative panel discussion. So we helped to be able to support women in business, just like my mother, who was a business owner in Massachusetts. I wanted to be able to make sure that the women in North Bay Village and the surrounding Miami-Dade County could participate in this panel discussion. And she led the charge on what we needed to be able to really do in North Bay Village, and who was to think it that we would just get to this point and she'd be in this position. So we're so grateful, and it's well earned.
Was she at the site when the boat was being taken out of the water?
Yes.
Okay. See, I was watching it. I saw that. All right. So I'm very fond of her.
She's wonderful.
And fond of the great work that she's doing.
And there's so much more to come.
All right. So right now there are less than 400 residential homes in North Bay Village. Is that about right?
Well, so we have single family homes.
Single-family
homes.
So
North Bay Island is predominantly single family homes. We have about 200 homes on that island.
All right. And what's the situation with flooding over yonder?
Well, that's why I think when we looked at the seawalls and making sure that we're looking at the integrity of those, because a lot of times households that are on North Bay Island will think, oh, because I'm not directly facing the water, that I'm not going to be affected. And when you look at what happens with the hurricanes, if you just have one of those houses that is having a seawall that's not intact, it has structural issues. The structural issues are going to affect the other houses that are a little more further in. And we're also making sure that we're repaving our roads. We're considering all these factors that we need to be able to be prepared for. And I think that for us moving forward, you're going to see the flooding will be decreasing. We're going to have different changes that'll be helping us to be able to affect and make sure that we're moving forward on these initiatives.
I finally remember many decades ago going to Coney Island hot dog over there with my grandfather, right? And I want to think that there was a Ferris wheel over there. You go up to the window and you get the biggest hot dog, and it's always a lot of fun. And I know that was the island at that point was, and before it was home to some real characters, right? But it's really changed a lot. And the commission body for the last 20 years has really elevated it a lot.
Oh, I'd like to think so myself. And honestly, I'm so proud to work next to them. And again, they all bring a very special need that the village has been lacking for so long. And it really goes to a testament of the leadership that we have of our mayor and commission as a whole. So you
were elected in 2018.
Correct, yes.
When did you start running for that?
Well, I mean, for me, it was, I started probably, the beginning of 2018, really starting to campaign, but I had served as the chair for the Financial Advisory Board and also for the chair of the Charter Review Board prior to that. So I really felt as if that it was able to, get my feet wet, understand what we really needed to be able to get done. I think understanding the finances of a city are essential to be able to run for office. And then also understanding the charter. I was staying at these commission meetings until 2 a.m., and watching everything that was unrolling. And it was just, quite upsetting to be able to see how the commission was talking to their residents, how they were not even addressing, just simple questions that their residents had concerns about. And, I just felt as if it was very alarming that they weren't really looking at all the things that were coming up that were red flags to me. And that's why I felt as if it was so essential to be able to have the right people run. And when Brent and I decided to file and run for office, we realized that we were going to have, if we did win, it would be an uphill battle, but we really needed to clean the city up. Not just the streets, but the administration as a whole.
So that was 2016, 17. You are a person that's on a mission, all right? The road is paved, all right? From the time you were 6 or before, probably about age 2 or 3, you already had these designs on things. So let's look forward. There's an election coming up. You serve here till 2022.
Correct.
What else are in your plans?
Well, I really have to go based upon what the needs of Miami-Dade, are. And for me overall, if somebody asked me to be able to run for higher office, I'd have to consider all the factors. But I know that, I'm there for the people. My mission has always been that, what can I do to be able to help? And I've been in a lot of situations where I've gone even outside of North Bay Village to help facilitate, connections, being able to help people with their needs. And for me, one thing that I do get concerned about especially in, where we are, I get concerned about infrastructure. We talked about the fact that there's a lot of needs that we need to be able to address. And particularly in District 4, there are a lot of things that we need to be able to understand, how we are able to move that district forward. What can we be able to do to assist them on that? And that's where I feel as if that the skill set that I've been able to lend to North Bay Village maybe could be something that could be valuable to beyond what North Bay Village has.
Okay, so let's look at the citizens in North Bay Village, where you serve now for the last several years. What is 3 things or 4 things that they want, right?
We like a very available commission to them.
Yes.
They want to be able to make sure that we have, services to them where we're having, events. We do like music in the park, which they've loved being able to have that, doing the after school programs. And also I think for them, they want to be able to see more businesses come to North Bay Village. They want to be able to have the walkability factor. I think one concern that they always have in North Bay Village is that everyone just drives right through it. They might not even think it's North Bay Village. So we're also working on our branding and imaging for North Bay Village. We really want to be able to have them understand that the walkability factor will be there. When you're going through the causeway, we want to be able to have businesses you're going to want to stop and want to be able to go to. Benihana and Shuckers is great, and we're known for that. But we're hoping that we're going to entice other businesses to want to come to North Bay Village. And also, once they see the businesses here, maybe they want to buy a home and live there as well.
Yep.
So I think for us, we're working on making sure that we're going to have more businesses come to North Bay Village, also diversifying the tax base, making sure we're bringing the walkability factor, and then having, more of a sense of community, having these events occur so everyone can come together. We're a small community. There's so many ways that we can be able to
So
connect.
you could say small without it being, not humiliating. It is a small town, and it's wonderful, right?
I think when you say small in that way, I think it's that mentality inside.
Yes.
You want to be able to have that sense of community where everyone knows
Yes.
each other, and that's what North Bay Village really does.
Yes, and we know that in small towns, if you think of how Key Biscayne was created by the Macco brothers, and you look over Marco Island, how that was done, City of South Miami, where everybody
Yes.
used to know each other, right? And each of these areas, that's what makes it work.
Of course.
And there's out west, there's Kendall, which is 300,000 people. There's no connection. And that's what cities are able to do. We've been fortunate over all these years to be supportive of the local, 5 minutes left, local zoning boards and the local chamber of commerce. And we're pro-incorporation because people want local. They want to be heard. They want to be able to walk down the street and shake their hand
Yes.
at the mayor or commissioner.
Of course.
Right?
But you should always know who those people are, and you
Yes.
should also know how they can be able to help you. I think when you looked at the pandemic, a lot of people maybe we were questioning who they put in office.
Yes.
Because we were always doing food distributions. I was available to be able to drop off unemployment forms. I never quit to be able to make sure that I understood what they needed. And it was even beyond North Bay Village. And I would have a lot of times that residents would contact me from other municipalities and say, I don't have that in my city. So even though, yes, we're small, I look at it, Miami-Dade is a table. North Bay Village has a seat at that table. It does not make a difference what size you are. But if you carry that persona to be able to do things, to be able to help even beyond your limits, you'll be able to make it.
One of the things we know that in cities that have in the population 10 to 20,000, they're able to become stars, the city itself, right? Because of the people that make up the city, the citizens and the government and elected officials, they were able to do things that people are really proud of.
Yes.
Right. And by the way, we're very proud of Doral, one of the finest cities in Dade County with lots of businesses. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but let's talk about, you mentioned about some future potential offices.
Yes. Well, you're the expert. What do you think I could do?
I don't know. I was thinking up to the north end. All right. Sally Heyman has served the citizens of Miami-Dade County for years, a friend of the newspaper, friend of my brother.
Yes, she's wonderful.
And I love seeing her with her jeans and her boots on.
Yeah.
I live in horse country, man. It just, all right. It ain't beauty pageants that turn me on. It's those boots that really do it. All right?
Yes.
So she has really helped us a lot as far as the community. Her seat's coming up.
Yes.
In your area that includes North Bay Village.
Yes.
Right? Have you considered running in that seat?
Well, we've had conversations where, I've been approached about that. But for me overall, my focus is on North Bay Village and assisting the coastal community. So we'll have to see, what's in store for me. But I will say this, though. Anybody who really does know me, yes, I was able to have my education paid for that. I'm extremely grateful. But, I grew up on a horse farm myself. And I can roll up my sleeves and be able to get anything accomplished within that. So
I'm all yours.
Yeah. So I challenge anyone to be able to see that. And, for me, again, it's a matter of making sure that, whatever needs to be able to get done, that you're available for them. And you just, want to be able to come up with a strategic plan to execute those.
So, one of the challenges in life is how do you continue on your journey, all right, and the things you want, and leaving behind the people that you care about, all right, and without them feeling abandoned or offended. That and I think that is a careful step, right, to be able to serve and do what you're supposed to do, and then take the opportunity when it comes up, right, because these opportunities are always there. You have to make a decision, right. I have a lot of faith that you're going to probably do something, because if you're this big, singing, and about this big, walking into a nursing home and singing and trying to bring home all those little puppies, it's pretty amazing. I would like you to look into this camera right over there and tell some 16-year-old young lady who's wondering about a future, tell her about her future.
Yes. Well, since we're in March and it's, Women's History Month, understand that, you are capable of doing anything that you set forth on. My personal motto has always been planning, preparation, and execution will be able to lead to success. So if you put all those things together, and that's been my personal motto, and I've lived by that, and I am here today as a woman representing the city of North Bay Village. So I'm very fortunate for that, and who's to see what's going to come.
Well, congratulations to you and to
you.
the women, and happy Women's History Month. By the way, we just put out a special section honoring a lot of great women in Miami-Dade County.
Yes, and we have lots of them. So
yes, many, many, many. Again, our guest today is North Bay Village Commissioner Julianna Strout. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And lots of good luck and good fortune to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Tommy, thank you for producing the show.
Thank you, Tommy.
Folks, have a great